All right. Thank you for joining us once again here on our Thursday crossovers. Crossover is sponsored and presented by PrizePicks. Download the app and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Got my man John Butchko of Locked On Jets here. Tony Wiggins here with Locked On Jags. Believe it or not, somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. Unless it ends in a tie, and that would be even funnier to me and Butchko because we always get together around Christmas, and that'll be a nice little Christmas present, right? But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think the Jets are going to win, and I think the Jets are going to win simply because of the fact that, Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to just go out as a total loser, does he? And lose to this team this Sunday? Nah, I think they actually have too much firepower. Aaron Rodgers, along with the receivers and then the running backs that they have, Garrett Wilson, of course, Devontae Adams. We talked about him. Brees Holmes. I just think they have too many weapons, and the Jaguars with Mac Jones at quarterback have not been able to play really good offensively. And Quincy Williams, if Quincy Williams is healthy, which I think he is, Quincy Williams, he got let go out of here because they said he didn't fit, and then he turned into an all-pro. I think Quincy Williams is going to come in here and try to have a big game this Sunday.
You know, it's interesting, Tony, because I have like the opposite perspective. Like all week on Locked On Jets, I've been talking about how our friends at FanDuel have the Jets favored, and I'm like, really? The Jets are favored? Like, how can you favor the Jets in any game, much less a road game?
Right.
I think it's an interesting contest. I think like this time of year too, it's like the question. It's always a big debate in the Jets fan base. Maybe it is in the Jaguars fan base. Do you want to win? Because do you want to win games, or do you want to like lose and get the higher draft pick?
And you know what? I'm glad you said that because that actually happened 4 years ago with Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. The Jets were going to get the number one pick. Was it the Jets? Somebody, I can't remember who won. I think Frank Gore did something because he turned out to be a hero. He got a first down that secured a win. And we started thanking the Jet people. And then the Jet media guys start talking about Jacksonville as a city, saying Trevor ain't going to like it there. So for a couple of years, we were on Zach Wilson watch, and y'all were on Trevor Lawrence watch up there with the Jets.
Yeah, that was you were right. Frank Gore made the catch. It was a game against the Rams. He made the catch to seal the game, and like this was like classic Adam Gase, because Adam Gase was the Jets head coach, and the Jets built their offense around Frank Gore that year, who was 37 years old. I mean, he was the go-to guy on offense, which was crazy because Frank Gore's a great player, but he was well past his prime at this point. But he was a guy who was maybe like a couple carries a game. He was like a guy in the locker room for leadership if you want to have him around. So Adam Gase is taking nonstop criticism. Frank Gore makes the catch to seal the win to get them to 1-13, and Adam Gase is like pounding his chest at the press conference. He goes, "I guess it was pretty smart to have a future Hall of Famer on the roster." He's dunking on everybody because Frank Gore makes the play to get him to 1-13. The other thing about that game was the Jets blew a big lead, and the punter Braden Mann made a touchdown-saving tackle that on a return that would have won the game for the Rams. So for years, people were talking about the punter like costing the Jets Trevor Lawrence.
Man, that's wild, man. And now Trevor's not here. Zach Wilson is backup quarterback in Denver, I believe. Trevor's out, injured. And we got 49-year-old Aaron Rodgers, and I'm kind of like joking coming in here. It's a chance for people to see a Hall of Famer. I saw Dan Marino play his last game. I don't know if this is Aaron Rodgers' last season, but I saw Dan Marino play his last game right here. And I always kind of held that. I mean, he got sent out of here with 62-7, but I don't think that's going to happen this weekend with the Jets. The Jaguars are wearing their nostalgic throwback jerseys that they love so much. The last time they wore them, they won. So it'll be a good sign if they could get away with that. But I really don't believe with the way this team is playing. I honestly think you have to score at least 17 points, and I don't think the Jaguars can do it unless they get a defensive turnover or a defensive touchdown. I just don't think that they can get to 17 with the way that this team is played.
Yeah, I think with the Jets, it depends on which Aaron Rodgers shows up, because the Aaron Rodgers showed up against Miami. It's a completely different quarterback we've seen for most of the season. Rodgers has, for much of the years, looked like a guy who's been afraid to get hit. It's been like, as soon as he gets the ball, just get it out to the first receiver he can. Whenever he hears like an echo of footsteps from a defensive pass rusher, he'll just dump the ball off as quick as he can. Last week was really the first time all year it felt like he trusted his protection, and maybe it's just because Miami's pass rush isn't very dynamic. I mean, they really did not get to him all that often. He actually looked down the field. He actually was able to hit some big plays in the passing game and stand in the pocket. And that version of Aaron Rodgers could have a big week. He could, put enough points on the board. But if we get the Aaron Rodgers we've seen most of the year, who doesn't trust the pass rush, who's afraid of taking hits, and not unjustifiably afraid of taking hits because he's been banged up. When he's taken hits this year, the 41-year-old body has not responded. He's been on the injury report a lot. He's dealt with an ankle injury, a knee injury, a hamstring injury. He's played through it, but he's clearly been compromised. If we get the Aaron Rodgers of last week, it could be a big game for the Jets offense. The question is, will it be the Aaron Rodgers of week 14 or the Aaron Rodgers of week 1 through 13?
It's a good question. I'm glad you described it that way, because when I watch him play, I just see a dude that is hell-bent on proving that he can find a hot read.
Yeah.
It just looks like that's what he says. It's like, okay, we ain't playing football. We just playing hot read. I like, as soon as I get it, I got you. I found a hot read. Even if it's not a completion, I found a hot read. There it is. We had it, but he dropped it. Or I threw a bad pass, but I got you. That seems like what he's been doing as opposed to really, really playing quarterback and standing back and taking chances.
It's a great way to describe it. And a couple teams, Minnesota and then Seattle 2 weeks ago, they kind of baited him into interceptions where like they showed blitz and they knew where he was going to go. They knew where his hot read was, and they dropped somebody to undercut it and picked it off. 2 weeks ago, it was a huge play. It was Leonard Williams, a former Jet. It was a defensive tackle. They dropped him into the area where Garrett Wilson was running a slant, and Leonard Williams picked the ball off. Jets were up 14 at that point, and he ran it back for a touchdown, which completely changed the game. So that's really, I haven't heard anybody describe it like that. That's the perfect way of putting it, where he wants his, whether or not it's the time to go to the hot read, that's where he's been looking all year. You're absolutely right about that.